SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back again to Spartan Nation Radio. We now head out to Coach Chuck Grenier. He is a legendary prep football and basketball coach in the state of Michigan. He's been a longtime Spartan Nation contributor. He joins us each and every week to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Michigan State football or basketball that week. Obviously, we're still talking football. Michigan State becomes bowl eligible, 6-3, with a win against Maryland. There was a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of ugly. It was an interesting game, and we're going to talk to the man himself. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
How's bow season treating you up in the tree? Have you brought down any of these Michigan butterball gorgeous whitetails yet?
I scored on October 2nd, second day. So I got a real nice buck that day. So just waiting to fill it out for the rest of the season now.
All right. Coach, let's start with the good. I thought the emergence of the running game and Connor Hayward was excellent. Your thoughts on the running game?
Well, they had some kids come back. You had Jarvis come back. The line is doing a bit better job. Some of the things they were doing, rolling out, different types of runs, it just started to come along, and, you don't become so predictable of what you're going to be running, and it really opens up the running game. Haywood had a banner day. He ran hard, and he ran with determination, and they just eventually wore down that Maryland defense, and he busted the one off for 80 yards, and, yeah, it's about time we...
Talking about the good again, I think we can keep going and go right over the defense, every single part of it. Josiah Scott was great being back. To me, I think this defense, this is a 6-3 team with a 9-0 defense.
There's no doubt about that. They played superb defense. You go into the Maryland program, and I know there's a little bit of chaos there within the program with the coaching changes, the hiring, the firing, and all that other stuff going on there. But this is a team that was running really well. They had a couple good running backs. I think they were averaging 200 yards a game or something, some crazy thing like that. And they just shut them down. And that just speaks volumes. And I totally agree. This defense could be the best one that they've had since D'Antonio's there, except for that off end. They just don't have that Shalik Calhoun type of pass rusher on that side. But Kenny Willis, Joe Bacci, those guys are just, and the two inside tackles are playing out of their head, and the other two tackles that come in, there's not a whole lot of difference between those two. They've got four defensive tackles that are game starters in just about every program in the Big Ten.
Now let's go to the bad. I want to make sure this is really clear. You and I both like Brian Lewerke. I thought Brian Lewerke last year had an amazing season, but the kid is injured. And he is not able to run this offense. He's not able to. He's very one-dimensional, which against the Maryland team is fine because he's injured. If Brian, I want to make sure clear because a lot of people are not hearing this. If Brian Lewerke is 100%, he starts. You got to give him that start till he loses the job. But he's not 100%, and not playing Rocky Lombardi to me, I'm completely befuddled. I know that's a feeling of many in the program. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes no logical sense to me, Coach.
No, it's pretty confusing why he didn't start in this game because of that injury. But it's also, according to history under the D'Antonio era, it's understandable. If you remember back to the Connor Cook era, that he was dinged also and had trouble throwing, and they pulled him for the Ohio State game, and they were pulled that through with a monsoon. But then again, they went to the championship game with Iowa, and he was obviously hurt in that game and couldn't throw, and D'Antonio still went with him. But I don't understand. Well, let me also say that there wasn't a Rocky Lombardi backing him up, put it that way. O'Connor and Cherry just weren't of that caliber, I don't believe. Good Spartans, but they just weren't of that caliber. But that, history kind of shows that that's kind of the way they would go. But there's another thing that I was really concerned on there with what D'Antonio said was that he let Lewerke make a decision if he thought that he could play. And I thought, you're the head coach, and if you know you got a player that's hurt, and especially a quarterback of the caliber of Brian Lewerke, what he can do for you, why would you risk him going out there and getting hit and then really lost for the season? And that almost happened in that game, because when he got hit going on the sideline, he was wincing on that shoulder a little bit. But that was a game Lombardi should have played, for the mere fact of playing a team you're going to be beating. I'm pretty sure that you're a lot better team than Maryland, and to give him those valuable game reps that he needs. And you've got a big game coming up against Ohio State. So if Lewerke can't go this week, you got a quarterback that's only played one game and of any substance that he was able to get game reps in. And now you got an injured quarterback. He might not play. Then you got basically a rookie quarterback coming in against a game against Ohio State. It's going to be a tough game. So it's a head scratcher. You listen to the Big Ten channel, and those analysts there are scratching their heads here. Lewerke should have been sitting and come in as a reserve if necessary, but Lombardi should have been the start. It is confusing, but that's pretty much historically what we've seen from D'Antonio.
Coach, here's the thing that gets me, is he tells us after Kirk Cousins left that he made a mistake not getting Andrew Maxwell reps to get him ready. And last year, he didn't do anything to get anybody ready. I asked him beginning of this year. He didn't do anything to get these guys ready. Well, the games are too close. So you don't need Brian Lewerke last week. He's injured. He cannot run this offense. So You sit him against a team you should beat, because that way you give him an extra week to get healthy. And if he's not ready for Ohio State, Lombardi's now got a second game of reps behind him, more confidence. To me, D'Antonio made a poor decision for the team. He made a poor decision for Lewerke. He made a poor decision for Lombardi. And I'm a supporter of Mark D'Antonio. We are not used to him making poor decisions. This was a bad decision.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think what I try to get in Lombardi or D'Antonio's head, and that's a pretty tough thing to do. But he's saying, this is my quarterback, this is our starting quarterback, and I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to avert to have some kind of quarterback controversy.
But let me just tell you something, Coach. You know this. You tell the people, am I lying? I have been writing about Rocky Lombardi for 14 months and what I was hearing from inside the program. Is that not true?
Yeah, and that's kind of like where I was heading on this one. There is a quarterback controversy. And your team player, and all you have to do is go back and see the video of him coming in the locker room after the win against Purdue, and you realize that those players that are in that locker room know what this kid can do. They know what Lombardi can do. They know that Lewerke is dinged. And so why aren't you playing a quarterback that's giving your team the inspiration, I guess, to say that they're going to be winning? So it was just a bad decision, in my opinion.
And we're 100% supportive of D'Antonio, but this, let me just say it. He didn't want a quarterback controversy. He's got one now.
Yeah,
he's got one now.
Exactly right.
Yeah, he's got one now.
So.
He's got one now, and he can't get away from it. And I just hope he's able to go through these waters and fix it. The only thing other really on the bad was the punting was terrible, but you're down to your third string punter. I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but that was certainly not good.
That was pretty bad. Throw Lombardi in there, let him punt. Jeez. Give Maryland something extra to think that this guy could take off at any time. But yeah, your third string punter punting into a typhoon type wind, and that was pretty bad. I think he had like a 9-yarder and an 11-yarder. You might as well just go for it if that's what you're going to get. But yeah, everything else, special teams good. They've got some talent over there in Maryland, especially on like kickoff returns, and they bottled that up pretty good. And it's hard to tell when on punt coverage when your gunners have to turn around and run back to the ball. So yeah, everything else is good.
All right, Coach. Last thing, I'm going to say this right now. If Brian Lewerke's 100% and he's playing like the Brian Lewerke of last year, I think they beat Ohio State. I agree. He hasn't played like the Brian Lewerke of last year all this year, and he is not 100%. If they start Brian Lewerke and stick with him for any significant amount of time, it's not because I think he's a loser, because I don't. It's because he's not healthy. They're going to lose to Ohio State, another game they should win. If they start Rocky from the beginning, I believe they're going to win this game. Agree or disagree?
I would agree with that. They certainly have got just a lot better chance with Lombardi in there than do Lewerke. And I think as I was thinking about this game over the weekend, Coach knows that Lewerke can come up with big plays, just like he knew that Connor Cook could come up with big plays. And remember that Iowa Big Ten championship game, how he threaded the needle and put that ball in there. They got the first down. He can do those kind of things, but to have a quarterback consistently go out there and throw the ball during a game, his arm is just not there. His shoulder's not ready for that. So,
I agree.
And you saw that.
All right. He is the great Coach Chuck Grenier, the good, the bad, and the unsure with Spartan football after Maryland. We'll be back.